Hello, writers. I'm Josiane Fortin, and today I'm interviewing Nick Morrison. Nick is the self published author of three books under his own name, but he has also self published other books. So, thank you for being with us today. And please tell us a little bit about you.
Okay, very wide open. I guess we'll just start with who I am. My name's Nick Morrison. I'm a professional musician, composer, teacher, guitar player, and as you've mentioned, have published books, self-published books on Amazon under my own name, and they are guitar method and theory books so that I use them in my teaching, but I also use them as lead magnets to my business. I have a sort of a larger business other than just selling books. But I've been doing that. I've been playing guitar for a little over 30 years, professionally for about 20, and composing music for film and television since about 2009, and got into self-publishing in 2019, 2020, really. Like many people, I'm sure many of your listeners, met with uncertain times around March of 2020 and started looking for new ways to make income online and connect with either, a new audience or the audience that they've already got, or expand their business, or, many different reasons why people decide to get into self-publishing. But that's when I really got into it. And since then it's been a whirlwind and a lot of fun, a lot of learning. I had one of my books, if you had seen it, it was it's called Guitar Fretboard Memory Magic. It's a super simple way for people to memorize all of the notes on their guitar fretboard. I know it's probably super boring for non-guitar players, but
It's not
that actually,
boring, but I'm not good at guitar.
fair enough. That actually hit the Amazon bestsellers list in three different categories for about 6 weeks in
Awesome.
2021, which was really, really cool. And that book continues to do very well for me. And then I've got a larger book, which is a theory book, and that's basic music theory for guitarists. And that really came about because my audience said, hey, we love the way you write. We love the way I've also got a YouTube channel and, all that kind of good stuff. And they're like, we really like the way you present material. Can you do like a theory book for us? And I thought, well, nobody really wants a theory book because it's like the most boring topic on
But
the
they do
face of the
want
planet.
it, they asked for it.
Well, but they asked for it, so I said, okay, I'm just going to listen to my audience, and out it went, and it's been doing okay for me as well, and I'm really pleased about it. So that's kind of me in a nutshell.
Okay.
Yeah.
And going back to the first book that you talked about, like that was like a bestseller for so many weeks. Like, what was the magic behind it? What do you think made it like be a bestseller? Did you do a lot of marketing? Is it just from having a big following on YouTube? What was it?
Yeah. I mean, it's really kind of a combination of a bunch of different things. So my biggest, and I don't know, kind of, I guess, quick question for you is: the bulk of your listeners, do you think most folks are writing fiction or nonfiction? Because
I
obviously I
think
write
it's a
nonfiction.
good mix of
Yeah.
both because I've covered both topic. I'm just
Nice.
really
Okay.
open to like
Beautiful.
anything self-publishing pretty
Yeah.
much
Yeah.
from like all over the world. So
So with with nonfiction, which is what I write, it's relatively easy to do what we call. I'm sure you're familiar with the term keyword research,
mhm.
and to find what topics, what um, ideas or what issues need addressing and are being searched for in terms of volumes, whether across Google or YouTube or certainly Amazon, which is where we live and publish books. So a combination of finding the right keywords and finding something that is not hit market saturation yet. Like there's lots of demand, but not a lot of competition. So that's part one. Part two is having certainly some brand recognition in the marketplace, a decent sized YouTube and, a good Instagram following and, a mailing list that I've been building up for 20 odd years. But then also marketing push. It's like, okay, well, how do we look at getting this in front of people? So there are, there are promo sites, there's editorial sites, blog posts, e-zines, these sorts of things, and kind of putting all of that together into one and having a solid launch plan over a course of sort of 6 to 8 weeks to get the book out and get the Amazon algorithm sort of working to your favor so that it
Mhm.
shows your books to more and more people, and kind of a combination of all of those things really I think is really what led that book to do as well as it's done. And the other key thing, and I'll wrap this up real quick for you, that particular book, and even if my theory book, if you look at it, they serve a very particular purpose, so they're very pointed. It's not a catch-all like an everything to everything to everybody book, and they serve a very particular purpose. So the point of that book, like the Memorize the Fretboard, it's 6 steps. It's very short. It teaches you one thing. You know, you buy it, boom, you read it, you're done, and it's very binary, yes or no. Can you translate that same sort of thing to nonfiction? Not, or to excuse me, to fiction? Maybe not quite as easily, but if you have an audience already built up who knows you as an author, like let's say you write high fantasy, for example, and your main thrust is, you know, elvish lore and these sorts of things. If you have a very pointed approach, you can build that audience so that they keep coming back again and again and again and again, and then eventually book 2 or book 3 is going to be that bestseller for you, because you'll have hit the tipping point where enough people know about you when you release that next book, boom, and off you go, right?
Yeah, even in fiction, you can use keywords to and hit like the
Mm-hmm.
market tropes, like what people are looking for in the books. But in your research, when you looked at keywords, like how could you figure out what was in high demand versus like low offer? How could you figure that out? Because like I'm trying to use, like I'm selling in the Amazon.ca, so Canadian
Yep.
store, and I
Sure.
can't figure out like where there is like a hole in the market. So how did you do that?
Interesting. So I guess the main hack I can give you is don't use the Canadian website, because
Okay.
primarily it's like 85 to 90% of Amazon shoppers are actually Amazon.com. And the Canadian website is a very, very different, even though it's the same website, it's the same company, it's the same everything, but Canadian shoppers are very different. So that's kind of the first thing is that I do is I focus my keyword research on the .com. And then really what I'm looking for is I'm looking for a keyword or series of keywords that have a high degree of search volume, so lots of demand. And when I measure demand, what I'm looking for is a series of other books that are out in the marketplace that are doing, and I'm sure you've heard of. There's a tool called KD Spy.
No, I haven't
So
used that.
I'm not affiliated with them at all, but it's something that I've purchased and I used. I think they're out of the UK, and it's a Google Chrome extension, so you can download it and it will pull Amazon data for you and show you
Okay.
roughly monthly sales figures, how many reviews the book has, how many books are in that niche, and it will kind of give you a really quick breakdown of everything. But that's kind of what I look at, and I want to see for any given keyword, I want to see kind of a minimum of 4 books that are selling and doing maybe $1,000 per month plus in terms of revenue, with 100. And this is now then the competition side of it, because you also have to figure out what kind of authority figures or other books that are selling am I going to go up against. And I want to see in the competition side, I want to see maybe like 100 or fewer reviews,
Okay.
because the more reviews you can get, the better your book is going to look. You know, the higher conversion rate you're going to have, the lower your A costs in terms of ad spend. And so those are the things that I look for there in terms of demand, and then the actual sort of competition. And if I can check those 2 things, then I know I've got something that is probably going to be profitable and in demand. And then I look at it from a further standpoint of like, okay, well, do I have authority? Like, do I have authority here?
Yeah,
Can
you
I
need
actually
to
speak to
have like
this?
have something to say about the
Yeah,
topic,
can I
obviously.
create a book in that
Yes.
topic? And then if
Granted.
I've got all of those check marks, then it's like, okay, cool, let's do it.
Okay, just going back to the reviews, like you said, it needed to have less than 100 reviews so that you knew that the author wasn't that well known. Is that it?
Part of it,
Okay.
because I mean, I you know, to be perfectly honest, it's not like I work for Amazon, so I don't know for sure. But if you spend enough time on the website, and if you spend enough time with tools like KD Spy, there's another one, I can't remember this. It's like a big scraping tool, and it's really big in the FBA world. I can't remember the name of it right now. It doesn't matter. But if you spend enough time, you start to see these little trends, right? Things that correlate back and forth. And you find that there are 2 types of books. There are authority figure books written by, so in my case, like Hal Leonard, Cherry Lane, um, you know, the big music publishers. And then there are other books written by other guys like me
Mhm.
or gals like me, right? That are independent publishers. And so you want to kind of look at it with that lens of like, okay, well, I'm not going to be able to compete with a Hal Leonard or a Cherry Lane, because those books have been out for 20 years, 30 years. They've got 50,000 reviews. And okay, that's great. Anybody that's going to buy that book is going to buy that book. They're not going to buy my book. But then you look at all of the other books that are by independent publishers. And as long as they've got sort of 100 reviews or less, you know that, okay, cool, they're selling and they've got that sales volume.
Mhm.
So you know that they're selling, but the 100 reviews or less is, there's this weird thing on the Amazon sort of platform and algorithm where as soon as you start to approach that 100 review mark, Amazon, at least it seems, will start to push your book to more and more viewers. And you actually then get more and more reviews. So to give you an example, that Memory Magic book, it took me, I launched it January 2021, and I had 100 reviews by about August or September of that year. So it takes a long while to build those reviews up. But once I hit reviews, I went from 100 to 150 between September and December of that year. Right?
Okay.
It's so much faster, and then of course the sales volume picks up as well. So these are the sort of things that you're looking at. The other cool thing about that is most, not all, most self-publishers don't really understand the power of the review, and they don't, this is going to sound bad, but they don't chase down their readers. Right? There's no call to action in the book like, hey, if you really loved my book,
Yeah.
please go leave it a review on Amazon. There's no marketing or push after the fact in terms of creating some sort of email list or attraction for your readers to come and join your ecosystem. Because if they're buying your book from Amazon, they're actually Amazon's customers, not yours. Right? You get no customer data. We don't have emails. We don't know names. We don't know anything about them. But if we can embed something in the book, either in the first couple pages or in the back matter of the book after they've read it,
Yep.
asking for that review, and then, hey, if you'd like to know more, if you'd like to follow me, join my newsletter, maybe you give a free giveaway of some sort, and then you've got that customer data, then you can follow up with them.
Yeah. Do you
And
offer a freebie? What is it?
yeah, I do. I've got a couple different ones depending on the book. So with that first book, I offered a short. There was two actually. There was a short guitar chords and scales like workbook,
Okay.
which was like a really quick ebook download, and then the other one was a video course outlining exactly what the book showed them to do. So like you could read it or you could just have me teach you.
Okay.
And so that's available for free from my website. So, they read the book and then they say, oh, cool, I'll go visit guitardojo.ca, put in my promo code, boom, and then I get that video. And I find that that's really been very, very good because people, the last thing people want to do usually is, they've just spent money on a book. The last thing they want to do is have to read another book. So if you can give them an audiobook version or a video course or some other, really high value, quote unquote, relatively low effort lead magnet,
Yeah.
it really ups that conversion factor.
I'm asking about that because like, I'm having a hard time like figuring out what will my freebie be. Like I just can't seem to find things that relate to my book. So that's why I'm
Mm,
asking other authors, like, what do you
totally.
do to get like new subscribers?
Yeah.
And how do you stay motivated working from home since you're like remote and by
Yeah, totally.
yourself?
Um, I don't, it's funny because I'm at a stage in my life where I've been a professional guitar player for a long time, but I've also gone through periods where I haven't been able to tour or make money playing or had, any placements for 6 months or 8 months or a year at a time. So I've also had a whole bunch of really, can I swear? I won't swear. I've had a bunch of really poopy jobs. Okay.
Okay, let's keep
And
that
so,
clean.
yeah, we'll try and keep it clean. So for me, I just look at that going, you know what? I don't want to go back to another poopy job. I don't want to have to go clock in and report to somebody that I don't like or don't respect and make other people money. So for me, that's always kind of in the back of my mind, and that's what motivates me to keep moving forward. Um, and I really value my free time. I really value being able to be my own boss, and it's fun. So, and because I'm in a niche where, I mean, you can see obviously I'm a guitar player. I love music. I love teaching music. I love talking about music, playing, like it's just who I am. So if you're, looking at becoming a self-published author, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, if you can get into a niche where you are super passionate and you love it and you would be doing it if you would even make $0 doing it, you're going to stay motivated and you're going to keep going every single day because you love it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And what was the hardest thing for you to become a self-published author? Was it writing the book? Was it publishing the book on the platform? Was it like marketing? You talked a lot about marketing, so I think you
Yeah.
got that figured out. But what was the hardest thing?
I think honestly the hardest thing is marketing.
Yeah.
It's marketing, it's chasing people down for reviews and in a genuine way, right? Like not like, hey, give me a review, jerkface, right? But like what's in it for them? Because you got to figure, either they're a complete stranger or maybe they know you and they followed you for a little while, but at the end of the day they don't really know you and they don't owe you anything. So what value can I provide to that other person? What value can I provide to my community that will engender a sense of, yeah, we really like Nick, we want to see him succeed, and I know that if I go and leave him a review, his book is going to do better, he's going to have better cool content, he's going to be able to make more YouTube videos, he's going to be able to publish another book, etc., etc., etc. So kind of getting over that was a big thing. And then the marketing thing, because there's a bunch of technical stuff that I guess you need to learn to be able to self-publish a book, like when it comes to like formatting and design and layout and writing, of course, and editing, and finding somebody to actually edit your work that you trust, and finding subject matter experts to review your work, again, depending on the technical nature or not of your subject. But you do need to find a team of good people that will work with you. So that's all a learning curve. But the marketing is something that I think is very strange to most creatives, right? Because again, I'm coming from the world of music, but if you've been an author for a long time, maybe you've been writing, and I'm talking to your listeners, of course, at this point, or even you, but if you've been writing short stories, you've been writing poetry, you've been writing long form content, whatever, you're probably really good at the creative side of stuff, and that's the easy part. Now you have to switch off that creative brain and turn on your business mind and go, cool, now I need to sell this. And it's
Yeah.
a hard thing, I think, for most of us to get over, to contact or talk to a potential customer and say, hey, by the way, I've got this great thing, based on whatever you've been talking about, blah, blah, blah. It sounds like my book would be perfect for you. Would you like to buy it? And that's a hard thing for
Yeah.
creatives to mutter, right? To get
Yeah,
out of our
because they
face.
can say no. And
Of
then
course, but
you're crushed.
yeah, but you have to realize that they're not saying no to you. They're not even really saying no to the book or the opportunity to own the book or anything like that. They just don't understand the value that you have yet. So this is what I'm saying. This is a weird little hurdle that we have to
Yeah,
get
that's a
over, I think, as
mindset. Yeah.
creatives. It's a mindset, right? And so the other interesting thing is sometimes it's just a matter of repetition. They actually did a study, and you can look this up. I'm sorry I don't have a link for you right off the bat, but one of the big marketing firms, and it was probably within the last 5 years, they released a study, and online, this is specifically to Amazon, a shopper needs to see an item. So whether it's a book or, the cool new toothbrush or a pair of shoes or whatever, they need to see an ad for that item a minimum of 7 to 12 times before they even understand that that item is for them to buy. And then they need to see it a further 5 to 10 times before they actually make the decision to purchase. Now, of course, there's always, outliers on both sides. There's
Yeah.
people that will see the ad and immediately go, oh yeah, that thing's for me, and then buy it. And then others will be 30 or 40 or 50 times, in terms of impressions before they actually make up their mind. But these are the averages. So sometimes we have to just get over the fact of the first time we ask, people are just going to say no. Because that's actually how we've been programmed for the most part in North America to react. Think about it, right? You go to a store and somebody says, hi and welcome. You may not even hear the hello and welcome. You're just like, no, it's okay, I'm just looking. Right? We're on the defensive. We don't want to be sold to.
Yeah.
So part of that in that marketing mind is just getting over it and realizing people are just going to say no out of defensiveness. So they'll say no, you'll ask again, they'll say no. You ask again, they say no. You ask again, they say yes. Right?
So repetition.
Yeah, repetition is key.
And what do you think is the best platform for creatives to get their work seen?
Well, I mean, that's a big question, but obviously we're talking about books. I personally believe that Amazon is the best platform to, as a self-publisher, get your stuff out there, because there's an entire engineering team behind the Amazon web store that works on placing your book in front of the right buyer at the right time. So if you have the marketing on point, if you have your niche selected and narrowed down perfectly, if you have great marketing, if you got a great cover, a killer title that has some sort of oomph or question that burns to be answered, they're going to buy that thing. And then, of course, the other thing that we didn't even touch on yet is that there's also, Amazon has this other side of its business called Audible. Audible is fantastic. and it's a hugely underdeveloped and underutilized platform for selling your books, because most people, when they think, oh, I'm going to be a self-publisher or I want to get a book published, they think ebook and they think paperback.
Mhm.
But there's that third option, which is the audiobook. And if you're at all interested or at all motivated to learn how to do it, you can even narrate your own book and put it up for Amazon. So basically, I guess what I'm getting at is, don't leave money on the table, right? Because people
Yeah, but
come to
that
your
sounds so
webpage. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
complicated. Like you need to
Yeah,
have a setup and you need to always make sure that you're at the same distance
totally.
from the mic. And
Sure.
sometimes you speak louder, so it doesn't work. And then you have to kind of figure out how to edit that.
Totally. I
I'm too
suppose I take it
scared.
for granted because I'm in that world. I've lived in that world for a lot of
Yeah,
years,
you
so
take it
audio
for
production for
granted.
me is easy. However, ACX has an entire plethora. There are 250,000 narrators that are chomping at the bit to narrate your book, and you can get them for as low as $50 to $100 or less, even per finished hour, to create your book for you as a
Mhm.
one-time payment. You pay them out, they create it, and a week to 10 days later, you've got a perfect audiobook ready to roll.
They give you
And
a file, like the actual
yeah,
file, and that's all you upload there.
it's all handled in the back end by ACX. So basically, you make a listing on ACX saying, hey, I've got this book, I'm looking for producers. They will submit auditions. You pick the one that you like, come to an agreement in terms of price, you sign a contract, they get to work, they upload the book to ACX for you. You don't even
Oh,
have to do
okay.
anything. And then you just listen and go, yep, I like it, approve, you pay them, and then it goes to ACX for a review, and then off it goes.
And
But
did you do that or did you
yes,
record it yourself?
I've done both. I
Okay.
much prefer to narrate my own books because I'm faster and I'm better than most. um, but I've done both systems, and it works really really well. But again, getting back to the don't leave money on the table, right? If somebody lands on your Amazon listing and they love the cover, right? It's super eye catching and the artwork is really cool. You got a great title, the description is killer, and they're like, wow, this is amazing. But they're one of those people that doesn't have time, right? They may say, well, I'd buy the book, but there's no audio version, right? So we want to make sure we give them that option, and it's very surprising how much extra money you can make just from having that Audible option up there for them. And then the other cool thing too is that Audible gives you the option to include a free PDF copy of the book with the audio file. So for the, I guess, price savvy consumer, they can get an audiobook and an ebook for the price of just the audiobook, right? So a lot of people are opting to do that now.
Okay.
Yeah. I realize
What
it sounds like I'm
percentage is
selling
it?
ACX, but I'm not.
What percentage of your revenues, if we only talk about books, like would you say paperback, ebooks, or Audible? What is the biggest chunk of it?
So paperback still pays the best.
Okay.
And I would say that that's, in terms of revenue, probably, let's say, about 70% in
Okay.
terms of overall revenue. And then the Audible and ebook, it depends on the month, but it's probably about 20% Audible and then about 10% ebook.
Okay.
So, and it's going to vary, right? Niche to niche. Like my
Yeah.
books, primarily because I'm teaching guitar stuff, most people usually want to have a printed hard copy in their hand so that they can
Right.
work with it and make notes and all that kind of good stuff. But surprisingly, there are a bunch of people that really like them as audiobooks as well.
What other writing projects are you working on right now?
Um, so as I had mentioned, I've got my website where I sell lessons, and I've got a membership site, and I'm working on a lot of video lessons and whatnot for that particular project right now. And I've actually just launched an app where people can download my app and interact and take lessons that way versus having to just deal with books. But I am working on, I guess you would call it a chord scale compendium. So kind of like an encyclopedia for guitarists.
Okay.
Again, not super exciting stuff, but it's something that my community has told me that they really wanted. And it's a lot of work. I've been working on it since sort of December of last year. If I'm lucky, I'll be done by December this year. And then it'll go into the process of, design and layout and all the kind of, art department stuff. And it'll probably be out for 2023, but that's kind of the ongoing writing project at the moment.
Do you get questions about how to write for television? Because you said
Hmm.
You have music for television and movies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
people must be interested and want to do the same
Totally.
thing.
Totally. Most of my audience, so like my key demographic, right, is kind of the 35 to 45-year-old male, looking to play guitar, and they're usually intermediate level, right? So like
Okay.
they're not complete beginners and they're not, advanced players necessarily, and that kind of skill set. But within that, there are some folks that are like, hey, I really would like to get, more professional, or I'd really love to make a business out of this or whatever. So I've got a few handful of guys that I'm working with and mentoring
Okay.
that are looking to get into that. But it's certainly not um, it's not the meat and potatoes of my business. Let's put it that way.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Although it could
People,
be
yeah.
down the road, right?
Why
Never say
not?
never. Yeah.
And if people want to know more about you, about your books, where can they connect with you?
Um, well, I got a few places, so you can find me on Amazon. Obviously, if you just look up Nick Morrison guitar, I've got a website. It's guitardojo.ca. You can find me on YouTube at youtube.com/samurai fingers.
Okay.
Yeah. And then of course Twitter is also Samurai Fingers. Instagram is Samurai Fingers. You can see I'm wearing my branded hat,
Yeah, we
and that's
can't
an
read it though.
yeah. So it's just that's the symbol, and it says Samurai Fingers. So it's a nickname I picked up when I was living in Japan. One of the music directors I was working for, he's like, "Wow, you've got like fingers like a samurai," and I was like, "Oh, that's great. I'm going to use that." Right. So it's kind of one of the catchphrases that I've got. I can teach anybody how to have fingers of a samurai when they play guitar. Right.
I don't think you could help me out. Like I'm just a lost cause with guitar. It hurts my fingers so much. Thank you so much for being on the show. I'll make sure to share the links in the show notes.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. It's been fun, and hopefully been helpful for people. And I'm always, I'm at a level right now. I still say I'm a small creator, and if people do reach out via YouTube, or if they reach out on the website or whatever, like my email is available and that kind of stuff. I will get back to people. Like if there's something that I can do, if there's something that I can help, I will be more than glad to do so. And if I can't, I can usually have some sort of contact I could probably get you in touch with, that may be able to help with certain things. So certainly, just to let people know, I'm pretty approachable, and I really believe that helping others and giving back is really the best way forward, to and it's not nepotistic. Like, it's not like, oh, I do it so that more people will know who I am. It's just literally, just giving back and growing, and putting out positivity into the universe. And the more that you do that, the more kind of tends to come back to you. So it's a give and a take, right?
Awesome. So thanks for letting our audience know about that. And thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.